All right, so you may have just bought a Tesla and you're maybe wondering what is the difference between autopilot versus full self-driving, or maybe you're confused about auto steer or traffic aware cruise control, all these different terms, or maybe you're just a Tesla nerd nerding out on Tesla content. Maybe you already know the answers to all these things, or there's no judgments as to why you're watching this particular video. But maybe if you are new to Tesla, maybe this video can help to educate you of some of the differences between these different tiers, what the intended use cases are, and the level of attentiveness that you should have when using any of these features. If you're new here, my name is Arnell, and this is Range Anxiety, where we talk about EV cars, EV ownership, and the pros and cons to having an EV. If that's something that you're interested in, make sure you drop a like down below. Lets me know you want to see more videos like this, and also consider subscribing so you don't miss more videos like this. So in this video, you're going to see me using Autopilot and basically talking about the different tiers and the different features of Autopilot. If you have any questions that I didn't address in this video, then please be sure to leave a comment down below so we can keep the conversation going. Autopilot and full self-driving. What the heck is traffic aware cruise control? And do I actually need to pay attention to the car when it is supposedly autonomous? So I want to use this opportunity to kind of explain the differences between these systems, your level of attentiveness that you need to do, and what are the repercussions if you aren't paying attention when you are driving. Now, when it comes to Autopilot, which is something that I just activated, let's talk about what Autopilot is. So a lot of people mistake Autopilot for full self-driving. They mistake it for cruise control. Really, what Autopilot is sort of the umbrella of all of Tesla's sort of autonomous features. Autonomous has a lot of different levels to it, but let's just kind of go at it from a very simple approach here. So there's sort of three stages that all Teslas, at least, new Teslas, have the capability of doing. It doesn't mean that they all necessarily have all three features, but they all have the capability, the option to be able to do it. So the first is traffic aware cruise control. Basically what this is just a fancy name for adaptive cruise control. So it's going to keep your speed, it's going to slow down and come to a stop if their car in front of you is slowing down. It's not going to keep you in the lane. It's not going to steer for you. It's not going to make turns for you. It's not going to stop at a stop sign. It's not going to stop at a red light. So really all that it's going to do is just keep the speed for you and keep up with the pace of traffic. You're able to set a maximum speed, and you can also set a sort of follow distance that you want. So if you don't want to get too close to other cars ahead of you, if you want to have some distance between you and the car ahead of you, then you can certainly adjust that on the fly while you're using the system. Traffic aware cruise control is included in all Teslas. When I say all Teslas, maybe it might not be included in like a 2013, Model S or something like that. But for the purpose of this video, chances are you're watching this and you're having a somewhat modern Tesla. So when I say that, I'm speaking about really all the modern Teslas, basically anything from like 2017 and up. Sure, there might have been a Tesla that could do traffic aware cruise control or autopilot before that, but for the most part, we're just talking about the modern vehicles. Autosteer specifically is what a lot of people consider autopilot to be. So autosteer is where it is going to do everything that traffic aware cruise control does, while also keeping you in the lane. So what I mean by that is if the road is curving, like let's say you're on the highway, which is what I have now, I'm on the highway, my car is actively keeping me in the center of the lane. So auto steer, again, is basically just going to keep you in the center of the lane and do everything that traffic aware cruise control does. So auto steer is, for all practical purposes, what many people consider autopilot to be. Now, full self-driving, FSD, kind of a bad name because a lot of people think that this is a fully autonomous feature and that you don't have to pay attention at all. All three stages of autopilot, whether it's traffic aware cruise control, auto steer, or FSD, at least at the time of recording this video, all three require you to be fully attentive and be able to take over at any moment's notice. So if something happens or the system isn't doing what it should be doing to keep you safe or other people around you safe, then you absolutely need to take over. That's something that the name of full self-driving can kind of lead to some questions. Some people that honestly get upset about full self-driving, like the naming of it, they're probably not very in tune with what Teslas can do and everything like that. They just hear the name and they think that it's fully autonomous, and then they hear about a crash with FSD and they get upset and think that we're not ready for autonomy, and it's a terrible feature and Teslas aren't safe. Again, you're required to pay attention. So I have a video linked down below in the description about what FSD is in more context and the level of attentiveness that you need to have. But really, just for the purpose of this video, FSD is going to do everything that Autopilot can do, the Autosteer, the traffic aware cruise control, and it's also going to be able to essentially navigate you from point A to point B with ideally no interventions, no taking over, no confirming that you want to change lanes. There's nothing that is necessarily stopping you from getting from your house to work or your house to the grocery store or wherever. And so FSD is designed in an ideal scenario to be able to take you from point A to point B with no interventions. Now, is it always perfect? Absolutely not. But at the end of the day, what FSD does is, again, take you from point A to point B. All right, so now that we've kind of explained the differences between all three, really what the key takeaway is Autopilot is basically the name for all of these autonomous features, sort of the name of the suite of features. So when you hear the word Autopilot, it could be Autosteer, it could be FSD, it could be just traffic aware cruise control. Now, let's talk about the intended use cases of these systems. So typically, traffic-aware cruise control and Autosteer are mainly intended for highway use, or at least higher speed use where you're going to have much less frequent stops. Now, can you use it anywhere? Absolutely. Same as how you can use regular cruise control anywhere that you want. You can just use it in a neighborhood if you want. You can use it, on city streets. Obviously, with cruise control in like city street situations where you're just trying to keep your speed the same, you're obviously going to have to engage it and disengage it often. Every time you need to come to a stop at a red light, if you have just basic cruise control, or if you need to make a turn, obviously you're going to need to engage it and disengage it. So because of all of these repeated and often disengagements, typically traffic aware cruise control and Autosteer are mainly going to be intended, best used for highway speeds. And they're rock solid. I mean, they will do a good job of keeping your speed, keeping the right distance, slowing down, and keeping with the curve of the road, especially with Autosteer, only with Autosteer, is when you're going to find that it does a really good job of keeping you rock solid in the situation and the places and speed that you want to be in. Now with FSD, the intended use case is really anywhere. So you can use it in the local city streets, you can use it on the highway. I did a over-hour drive in a Cyber Beast not too long ago, completely on FSD. Most of that hour drive was on the highway with stop-and-go traffic in the middle of rush hour, and it performed flawlessly. Now, is it a perfect system? Absolutely not, and that is exactly why it's the full name, at least right now, is FSD Supervised, Full Self-Driving Supervised. Now, eventually they're talking about Full Self-Driving Unsupervised, and we'll see it when that happens, but what we have access to right now is a supervised system that, in ideal scenarios, should be able to take you from point A to point B safely with no or minimal interventions, like I've said before. Now, it does great on the highway. In some situations, you might want to disengage it if it's, staying in the left lane instead of, moving out of the passing lane. But there's, little quirks like that you might need to intervene for things like that. But as far as getting you safely from point A to point B, it does a relatively good job. And in some cases, it does a better job than some drivers that are out there because it's really following official road rules, coming to complete stops, at least in many software versions. It's properly doing complete stops. You might have some instances, especially in like hurry mode, where it just kind of rolls through a stop or does some odd things that honestly many other human drivers do, not trying to give it a pass. But at the end of the day, it's trying to, with the use of AI, trying to mimic what human drivers do, but as safely as possible with little to no disruptions to other drivers around you. Now, again, is it perfect? Absolutely not. But that's what FSD is sort of designed to do. Whether it's local city streets, adapting to local roads, and sort of, following the lane changes of, this lane might be turning into a turn lane. And so it's using navigation data, it's using visual data in front of it with the cameras, with Tesla Vision. So it's doing all of these things in real time, and it's able to be engaged or disengaged at any moment. Now, like I said, the use of all of these autopilot features right now are completely supervised. So you are completely in control, and any action that the vehicle does is entirely your fault. So if there is an accident, then it's typically going to be your fault because you are required to pay attention. You are required to take over every time you engage an autopilot feature, particularly Autosteer and FSD. There is a message that comes on screen that reminds you to keep your hand on the steering wheel, to be prepared to take over at any time. There is a camera inside the cabin monitoring you to make sure that you are paying attention, that you're not just playing around with the touchscreen or using your phone or taking a nap or anything weird. And so if it notices that you are not paying attention and not doing the things that you should be doing in a normal driving scenario to be prepared to take over, then it will disengage the software and you will have to take over. Now, what it'll do in certain situations where, let's say, you're having a medical emergency or something like that, it will come to a complete stop in the lane that you are in, at least at the time of this recording. Now, it would be great if it can do some things that like Volkswagen Group does, where it will actually pull over all the way to the side of the road in a safe fashion. And it will come to a complete stop. It'll put the hazards on. It will honk. It will do a lot of different things. It'll unlock the door for emergency services to be able to come and get you. So Volkswagen Group does a fantastic job, and honestly the best job, in my opinion, of doing this, because at least with Teslas, as it is right now, it's just going to come to a complete stop gradually and safely, of course. It's not just going to slam on the brakes, but it's going to come to a complete stop in the lane that you're in. So if you have like a seizure in the middle of the highway, then you're just going to come to a complete stop in the middle of the highway. So kind of scary, but there are some safety measures in place, which is good. I guess it's better to come to a complete stop than to just keep the system going forward. I don't know. There's good and bad that can happen with both. And so, yeah, it would be nice to see some innovation in some of those stopping features there. But in any event, Autopilot Suite, the feature set does a fantastic job of doing what you want it to do. And oftentimes when you hear about crashes or unsafe events, it's people abusing the system. It's people, using Autosteer, for example, on local roads. And, obviously it's an Autosteer system, so it's not going to pay attention to the stop sign. It's not going to pay attention to a red light. It's just going to keep going because all that it's designed to do is keep your speed and keep you in the center of the lane. So it's, when people abuse situations like that, and again, that's not how all accidents happen. Of course, there's FSD accidents. There's, instances where the car just randomly decides to, go off the road or something like that. And so there's a lot of different instances. But a lot of times when you hear about crashes and things like that, it could very well be a software issue. It could be a hardware issue with the cameras. It could be just some kind of weird malfunction. But it could also be very well that the driver is abusing the system in ways that it shouldn't be used. So some things to keep in mind there. But again, if you are new to Teslas, hopefully this video helped to describe the different feature set of the Autopilot suite. So that way you can determine the difference between what traffic-aware cruise control is, Autosteer, and FSD. Now, of course, these systems do innovate and improve over time with software updates. So if there are any major improvements, then I will be sure to share that with you so you can stay up to date on what's going on. But if you enjoyed this video and you want to learn more about FSD and the level of control that you have on it, and if you should engage it or disengage it in different environments and scenarios, definitely check out this video right here, or check out this playlist right here for more Tesla content. I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.